Welcome back. I'm Rich Cruz, and this is our journey through ethnic music. Another installment brought to you again by Rich Cruz, and I wanted to bring you into a little bit of my culture, my Cherokee heritage, and we're going to talk a little bit about something that's near and dear to me, which is the Native American flute. And this weekend I had the opportunity, the rare opportunity for me to go to a powwow in Naperville. It was at the Naper settlement, and by the SOAR Foundation, which is a conservation foundation for Native American culture. And it was just an outstanding experience. Drumming, dancing, food, and of course music, singing, and a lot of flute playing. Let's just talk a little bit. I want to introduce you to this flute, which I made from a kit that was purchased from a flute maker named Butch Hall. And I have another Butch's flutes I want to show you. This particular one is made out of cedar, but a flute can be made out of cedar, softwoods. I've seen them made out of pine. I don't recommend it. We've also seen it out of birch, cherry, walnut, so hardwoods as well as softwoods. Cedar is definitely the most popular that I've seen. The construction is very, very interesting. It's unlike any other flute that is around. It is a two-chambered flute, which means that one blows in the end here into this chamber. There's a block in the middle, and then there's another chamber, another empty cavity on this side. The way that the airflow works is that you blow into here. There is a block at the top. The block is either a block like this, pretty standard, or you might get something that's kind of fancy with a fetish on top, like this particular bird. You might also see anything from nature, bears, anything that you might see in culture that you can, in the Native American culture, that would represent something for typically an animal from nature. And what happens is the air will come in through here. There's a notch on the front and underneath, notched into the flute itself, with another hole, and the airflow will come through here and then through the second chamber, the second cavity. Very interesting design, and it really gives a wonderful, rich, open sound. Most flutes are 6-hole. I'm going to show you one that's 5 holes, but we rarely open up the third hole from the top. It is a diatonic instrument, meaning that while you can achieve a chromatic scale, typically they are played such that they're in different keys. For instance, this one is in F sharp. I have another one that's in G sharp, and I should say F sharp minor, G sharp minor, a D minor, and actually I have another F sharp minor. What's interesting is that they can also be made out of PVC. Frankly, don't recommend them. They don't sound so good. But for beginners and for flute classes, not a bad place to start. On to the sound. Well, let's talk about the family of the instrument. So it is an aerophone, which means that the sound actually does come from blowing air into the instrument and that causing the resonance, the vibration to make the sound. It is also in the woodwind family of instruments, very much like any other flute. It is not a transverse flute, meaning that it's not played this way. It is an end-blown flute. It is blown through the end. I'll just give you a little sample of this one. This one is an F sharp. So that's my F sharp flute. Played a little sloppy, but gets the point across. The other flute I want to show you here, this is a G minor, and this is made by Butch Hall. Again, one of my favorite flute in my collection. And this one, it was purchased at a powwow, and I'm just going to play a little bit for you here. One of the interesting little nuances that you can get with this flute is something called a loon call, and it's an overblow note played basically by holding down these two holes and giving a little extra blow. So it's got that loon sound to it, you know, like the loon bird. The bird, the loon. Another interesting flute design that's come out is a double flute. And the double flute, this particular one is a 5-hole flute. It is made out of maple, I believe. This one's done by a company called High Spirits, a very popular group on the internet. And an interesting thing about Native American flutes, in order for it to be called a Native American flute, it has to be made by Native American, or it has to be made by an artisan that is certified as somebody who can make a Native American flute. Very interesting. Legally, you're not allowed to do that. You could say in the style of Native American flutes, but you can't say Native American flutes unless you meet that criteria. This particular one is just it's a fascinating flute because not only can you get one side of it, but you can also get this drone on the other side. And I love playing this one. The thing about the Native American flute is that it is, and one of the reasons that I love it so much, is that it is a very personal instrument. It's all about self-expression. Is there music for it? Absolutely, there is music out there for it. And can you learn to play Western music on it? Absolutely. But that was never its intent. It was always meant as a healing flute, as a courtship flute. You may know it as a love flute. By the way, it is a plains flute. There's also a woodland flute, which is made just slightly different, but it's basically a plains Indian instrument. And again, the most important part about it is that it really comes from, the music comes from inside you. So there's hardly really a wrong way of playing it. Thanks again for joining me on this journey through ethnic music. I hope you learned something. I hope that you have newfound interest in the type of instrument that we went through today. And join me again next time, where we'll go through another part of the world on our journey through ethnic music. Take care now. Bye-bye.